YouTube and all these other places, there is going to be a little bit of a delay.
Okay.
And so we had Buck here, and I'm pulling up my notes here. We had Buck here on our podcast not too long ago. And which episode was that? I want to make sure.
I've already had people chiming in and saying they really enjoyed the podcast. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, wow.
So Jesse, that was awesome.
You're
I
not
appreciate you.
That's for real?
No, for real. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
How come I don't get to hear
I was
it?
in Travis's community. I got a bunch of feedback as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you haven't checked out the Land Investing Business Secrets podcast, make sure you do check it out. We have Buck here on episode 95. We talked to him about all sorts of stuff. I know I pulled out some of your history here, talking about your e-com side of things, and then what you're doing with land and how you've sort of grown, and the importance of relationships and as well. And yeah, it was a great chat. I really, really enjoyed that chat with you. So now that we have you live here, if you guys are watching us live and you guys have any questions, I'm going to actually pop open the chat here. So
I'm not used to your Restream platform, so I'm wondering where to look for the questions. But
yeah,
know, and then
the last time we did it, we only had a few, so we don't have any right now, and I'll overlay them. You'll see them on the screen, but I've got a couple questions lined up for you anyway. So
cool. Feel free to lead the witness.
Yeah. Right. Well, how long have you been doing land for, Buck?
Online stuff.
Yeah.
Is that what the question was? Yeah.
No, land in general.
Oh, land I've only been doing for a little over 3 years.
Okay.
I really, honestly, land has been a kind of a new phenomenon for me, and really enjoy it.
Awesome.
There's so many dimensions to it that are fun, interesting, always something new.
Yeah.
Ken was saying better audio. Is it good audio this time, Ken, or no?
Yeah, better, because on Instagram you're just picking up my speaker audio. So
okay, good.
You decide to bounce, but I'm just going to leave Instagram on anyways.
Okay.
So, so my question is for you: if you were to start over again, Buck, how would you? Let's say you had a very small budget. What's realistic? Like I don't know what that budget might be, but let's say maybe even close to 5,000 or under 10,000. How would you have done it to grow as quickly as possible your land business? Or maybe it's not about speed. How would you do it? If you looking back now, how would you go about it now?
Yeah, I think discovering the Pebble platform, but your Pebble platform was not available when I first started. So I think you were you were in development and hadn't not come online. There was another approach to doing the drip kind of mailing campaigns, and it didn't have CRM integrated into the solution. So those things forced me to leverage some of my technical skills, and that was frustrating because I'd rather focused on the business, the land business.
Yeah.
If I feel pretty good about the way things started, and starting small.
How did it sort of all unfold then?
Definitely going after smaller properties for me, and so buying properties that were under $5,000 on the acquisition side, and that was small enough that I was like, oh, I want to see if this works, and get excited about it, and see the full transaction occur, and that happened quickly. I actually acquired my first property wholesale, so that sped up getting the property into my inventory.
Yeah.
So there are many ways. That's actually not a bad approach. Is if you know you're buying smart and you can buy a property wholesale, then you can go work out the details of how to sell that property. Right. And if your buy price is right, then selling is a lot easier. That really is the easier side of the business theoretically.
So you're saying the smaller tracts, the smaller parcels was a good way to just learn, or like?
For me, it was because I had I was able to get several transactions done.
Yeah.
And say, oh, this is interesting. This is things are picking up. That was occurring in more than one county, so I was able to prove that would work in multiple counties. I think it is fine for people to go up level, from the get go. I see a lot of people doing that, and coaches are recommending that. I'm not against that at all.
Yeah.
Of going after higher value
Mm,
properties, which means a higher acquisition cost.
yes.
That does put pressure on people that are getting into the land business to, find that capital to
Yeah.
acquire.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
feel a little more. I remember I was doing uh, I'm an old man doing firefighter academy, and
Yeah.
on Saturday I was in a windowsill about to come out and have a firefighter take me down the ladder because we're practicing taking victims out of a window.
Yeah.
And I felt like, oh, this is like being at the top of a roller coaster. So if you have a bigger transactions and your first experience doing that in land or in a new market,
Yeah.
that can be a little bit scary. So
Yeah.
it's nice to get your feet wet
Yeah.
with.
How long would you do that for? Let's say, within the first 12 months, what would that, how long would you sort of focus on before you move up? I'm sure don't worry about
Yeah,
other people in your shoes. How
sure.
long do you think it would have gotten you to feel comfortable? How many transactions would you have done to feel comfortable to say, hey, I'm
It,
going to
it
move it?
happened pretty quickly. I mean, immediately I was going, with bigger buys
Yeah.
and feeling comfortable with finding people partners that would fund. So I funded my own deals, but then I start rapidly bringing in funding partners, and knowing that I knew how to uh, buy right
Mm.
in the right geographies, that there would always be funding. There would always be a partner that would want to get involved.
Mm.
And so that took away the pressure of, hey, do I have the capital to make this happen?
Right.
Um, and then later on, I'm getting more accustomed to working with real estate agents. So yeah, as you climb up the ladder, it makes more sense to work with an agent and get the property sold.
Right. 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 Okay. By the way, guys, I'm here hanging out here with Buck. He was on the last podcast. I know some of you guys are joining in a little bit later here. And if you have any questions for Buck, please make sure you drop it in here.
I
Or
see Ken is on the line. Hey, Ken, how's it going? Ken and I were hanging out together in
Ken,
Las Vegas a couple of years ago, so that was a lot of fun.
yeah,
Um,
Ken was on the.
we almost got stuck in a wash in Arizona, in Mojave County, Arizona, with a Jeep. If you can imagine getting caught, I think he was going to push and I was going to drive.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know.
How long ago was that?
That was a couple of years ago. Yeah,
That's
we were in Vegas and we drove down to Arizona.
I did have somebody try to drive down to one of my properties out in Arizona, and I remember him calling in the middle of the day, and he's like, "Hey, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and my truck is stuck, and a storm is coming in, or something like that." And the blame was coming all back to
That's
me.
happened to me too. It's like,
Yeah,
hey, I'm lost.
yeah.
Isn't there supposed to be a road here?
Oh,
you know, that's kind of nuts.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's not a good
that's
situation.
actually a good point. Is there's some features, things that people can do we do a lot of self-guided tours because we also sell our own land in addition to selling it through agents.
Yeah,
And so we put together a self-guided tour, and I recommend if you do sell your own properties
yeah.
that you do that. And one aspect of that is to have people download the um, land ID, and
Ah,
ID.land used to be,
yeah,
I always want to call it MapRight,
that's right.
but and then have them download get a free login to MapRight. Don't have to pay for it, and then
Okay.
have the buyer, so you can
So
share the link and they can see exactly where they are on the boundary of the
got
property.
you,
Yeah,
got you. There you go. There you
and
go.
that's a good idea. That's actually not a bad idea for Pebble at some point. Is that you could have a little thing that
Yeah,
you
where
could
you
share
can.
with buyers or what have you.
Yeah. So what do you mean by a
Uh,
guided tour? Just like a road, like just shows them where the boundaries are and then how to get to the property, or are they visiting anything else?
yeah, so just really the parcel boundary
Okay.
there, satellite view, parcel boundaries there, and their
Yeah.
blue dot is on the map.
Right.
That's really handy. And
Right.
I guess you could do that with Google My Maps or something, but it's a lot nicer with the ID.land.
Cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Again, if you guys have questions, please throw them in wherever you're watching us live from. Same with Instagram. So I've got another question from you is, what would you say is your biggest hack, whatever that would mean for you when it comes to, or maybe something that just might not be the biggest thing, but something that
Mm.
you remember. Are there any sort of hacks or tricks that you sort of perform, whether it's in your due diligence process or just something in general with your business, or maybe just on your productivity with the way you function and how you work?
Mhm.
Anything comes to mind?
Yeah, I think one interesting approach, and maybe other people are using this for sure, is that if you do need to come and negotiate a price down, I've done a lot of blind offers. I think
Yes.
people are now sort of gravitating maybe to uh, neutral letters of interest, that sort of thing. But if you do a blind offer, send out an offer price. It's got a specific price
Yep.
on it on the letter. That you may be wrong. Maybe you
Mhm.
used one of those other pricing services and they came back and the number was way off.
Yeah.
And it's happened to me more than once. And then you have to, it's like, oh, you're stumbling. You have to recover from that. Maybe you have to apologize or whatever it is. Um, I definitely, usually I'll identify a couple things
Yeah.
that would really justify there being a lower price.
Mm.
Okay. One could be, 25% of the property is covered with wetlands. Another could be the slope is a little bit more than I expected. It's maybe not too steep that I wouldn't buy it, but it's a little more, variable. Those kinds of things you can bring up. You don't have to go in. It's not a kitchen sink thing and throw in, oh, the baby's ugly. Here are 20 reasons why it sucks. You need to give me a really, no, you don't do that. But you could point out one or two things and say, hey, this has got a little bit more than for the properties that I acquire in that neighborhood,
Yeah.
county. And, because of that, I can offer you this. Does that work for you?
Mm.
And leave it at that. And, I've had pretty good luck at doing it that way.
Wow.
Again, don't bring out a litany of things
Yeah.
like you're breaking up with your ex-girlfriend or
Oh
whatever
man,
it is.
you
All
kind
the
of.
things that are wrong with you. No, honey, it's me. It's not you.
Oh man, so just a couple things.
I think one or two. It doesn't have to be the kitchen sink, and they have to be legitimate. It can't be made
Sure.
up.
Yeah.
So yes, they recognize that too.
Hmm.
And if they are on the fence and they're looking for a reason to go ahead and say yes,
Yeah.
or you needed to drop your price,
Yeah.
which I've had to do that more than once.
Huh.
It gives you a higher probability of success.
Where in the
I,
where in the conversation would you like? Do you do that as soon as possible? Do you do it after? Like, is there sort of a timing to when you may want to, let them know of the adjusted price? Obviously, you don't want to waste your time too. So, do you just do that
yep,
as soon as possible, or?
sure. I mean, as soon as you're going to present the offer, if you've decided to present an offer,
Yeah.
then it's going to be right there as part of that. Hey, because of this, here's what I can offer you.
Yeah.
And so I think that also leads to, hey, you probably want to have your script, and it doesn't have to be like you're reading from the teleprompter.
Like you're reading Chat GPT or
You're
something.
reading ChatGPT guide on how to, and you're feeding in what the person's telling you, and so that it gives you the response. No, you obviously want it to be sort of bullets, so that you're able to talk the way you would talk like a
Yeah.
human,
Yeah. Got you.
and you're covering off on this. I know that's harder for some people than others because if they're not used to it, it is a sales mode,
Yeah.
and so you have to be comfortable doing it that way.
How do you typically make your offer? Is it a written offer, or do you hop on the phone to make an offer?
You're asking that's my secret sauce. Doggone it. Yeah, I always make the offer on the phone.
Yeah, I figured.
Always have to make the offer. I think it's ridiculous. Most younger folks, yeah, my God, it's really hard. Like my daughter just she was asked to the homecoming dance, and the kid texted her and asked her, and she said, "Hey, why don't you ask me in person and we'll
Oh
see what
no.
happens."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
I mean, this is the way they're asking for their dating. It's like
Nowadays, right?
nowadays.
Let me
So
IG you. Right?
I think that we're that's being washed over onto the land business where everyone wants everything to be a text, a
Yeah.
voicemail,
Yeah. Yeah.
and be super, super easy. And hopefully they'll just give me the yes or no answer
Yeah. Yeah.
via
Yeah.
text,
Yeah.
right? What happens is if for the people that know, if I can get on the phone, I make that connection, I can ask,
Yeah.
let them know why,
Yeah.
be human, then I am going to clean up on everyone that is texting their
Wow.
offers.
I know we spent a lot of time last time talking about this sort of being more of a people to people thing, and that's how you really treat your business here. And I did recall that, and I guess this is part of your strategy. I mean, it's not part of your strategy. I think it's just part of you.
I have my acquisitions manager. I mean, she only presents offers by the phone, over the phone.
Oh, so you have her. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
it
so
easy.
she's doing it now, but that's what I did
Yeah.
for the first 2.5 years.
Anything, you know, how do you how do you go? How did they go about it? And is there any sort of strategy in terms of delivering that?
Well, it's not done on the first call,
Oh,
so you need to. That's critical. Again,
you don't go for the
most,
jugular right away, and
most people get on the phone and deliver their offer over the phone on the
yeah.
first call because I just want to get it out and
Yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's going to be a two call process,
Wow.
and the first call is going to be a howdy do, and then the second call is going to be the coming back later,
Yeah,
to deliver the offer. Um, and it is like dating. I mean, you have to be willing to go to the home, go to the dance and
yeah.
go get
Get
coffee and do other
get used
things.
to, getting rejected and whatnot too, and I think a lot of it probably has to do with fear to actually do that on the call. By the way, for you guys that are watching this later, I hope you guys are taking notes, and please say hello and thank you
Yeah,
for
chime
Buck.
in. Don't lurk here. Come on, I want to see who else is out there. Maybe we're all by ourselves or dancing with ourselves.
No, we've got a few people on here, but
Yeah,
I
okay.
know like
All right.
a lot of people were going to watch this later. So if you do watch this later, leave a comment, tell
Okay.
Buck hello, and say a big thank you to some of the stuff he's dropping on this call here.
Yeah, don't try to deliver the offer on the first call. Do it on the second call, or the second or third call, but definitely two plus, and and call, and then you can deliver the formal offer once you've received a verbal. Even if you haven't received a verbal,
Yeah,
even if they're thinking about it, you can still send. At that point, you can send the offer. Sometimes people say they don't want to talk to you, right?
yeah. And then at that
And
point,
that's fine. Then you can send the offer. Then you can text or
yes,
email the offer.
right,
Sure.
right, right. Okay, so there's always exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think? I've asked this. I feel like I've asked this on the podcast last time, but what do you think you do uniquely in general? You're not only, if you guys don't know, but like Buck is also very involved in the. I mean, we talked about your pet.
My pet space. Yeah, my wife and I are actually having a meeting tomorrow. We're going a weekly meeting on the pet business, and
Yeah,
we're ordering new.
yeah,
Hey, how's it going? We're ordering new. We're changing up our packaging and new fulfillment house and stuff like that
yeah,
for the pet space. That's a great business to be in. I really enjoy that. It's the dogs.
yeah,
I'm a dog lover.
yeah. How? I mean, how do you function in so many different spaces?
Mm. I need to winnow down where I'm focusing, but I think I do find that having regular meetings, touch bases, and saying this is our intention for the week,
Yeah,
and this is true in the land business, especially, is I meet with my acquisitions manager and I meet with my sales
yeah,
manager every week,
yeah,
usually at least twice a week,
yeah.
and we're doing Zoom, not Zoom calls, Loom videos in between.
So
So
you
if we
guys,
meet twice, we'll have Loom videos for the other days,
yeah,
and then we'll use other systems like our CRM system to tag each other and hey, can you
right.
follow up on this type thing?
Right. Right. Right.
And that is a type of accountability, because you feel like, oh crap, I need to be there. I need to find out I have my board bullets on my board of what I'm going to get done. That being in the software business.
Yeah.
And it does force me. Actually, I'm in the process right now working with my acquisitions manager on implementing the traction model, the entrepreneurial operating system, EOS model.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
which I
Gene
know a lot of people
Wickington,
are
right?
into. Yeah,
It's a
yes.
great book. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to do a light version of it, because I'm not really wired, I guess, with patience to do the full blown.
Totally get you. Yeah, we only
Yeah,
pick and choose things, and just because for convenience sake, I have it right here by my desk. So
there you go.
if you haven't
Yep,
picked up this book,
highly recommended.
yeah, or the ebook, I remember I listened in. It's a very practical guide, sort of building systems for your business. So
Someone came in on Facebook. I don't know who that is, but thank you for so much.
yeah, unfortunately, the
Really appreciate
platform
the
here
kind
only just shows us as a Facebook user, so we can't see the name.
word.
If you're on YouTube, we'll see your name there. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to throw it your way. Maybe they're just being entertained by some of the questions I'm throwing at you. But coming back to that question, I mean, you've been involved in e-commerce before land. If you haven't seen what Buck was that in the vitamin space, was it right?
Yeah, supplements.
Supplements, sorry.
I've
Yeah.
been in. I've done candles. Literally, we made candles
Yeah.
at home, small
Yeah.
batch.
Yeah.
Candles was my first e-commerce play per se,
Yeah.
and then moved into dietary supplements.
Yeah. Into
Now
land.
doing land, which is I would say that's an online business,
Yeah.
but not really an e-commerce business. And then yeah, I think they all, and my son now I couldn't believe my 20-year-old's getting into Shopify and e-com. So that seems to be a very popular thing these days.
You're someone who just what is it? You like building things. You like I can completely relate to you, and I just how do you describe it? Like you
Yeah.
I can tell you're just having fun. It's at least I
There's
think.
stress. Don't get me wrong. There's stress, but I was at, I use this firefighter analogy, is that we were really beat up on Saturday after doing these, throwing ladders and climbing and rescuing people and pulling, doing all and going into a smoke-filled room. I was
Yeah.
rescuing fake baby dolls from a bedroom in a smoke-filled room, that was wild. And so you feel really beat up. I actually stretched some muscles in my shoulder and stuff. And then we got out, and I'm like, this was interesting. This was fun.
Yeah.
I was in pain, but I was like, I'm glad I had the pain and suffering and all that kind of stuff, because there's a mission,
Yeah.
and that makes it interesting for me. So I'm like, hey, this is great. This is good stuff. We're doing it for the right reason.
Yeah.
And I feel like in business, there are things like I just got a message from a real estate agent saying that somebody looking at a property looks like they're going to buy a house instead of the property. They may buy the property anyway, but we'll see. But I could have been, devastated. That was a nice transaction.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hey, what did I learn? Did I
Yeah.
do something wrong? No, I think we did everything right.
Yeah.
Are we prepped better for the next one that comes along? Yes, I think we learned a bunch of things, and now we can position the property better. So then I try to flip it around and make it a positive. Hey, what was a learning experience from this bad experience?
Yeah.
So that's what I go for. And this is whether it's e-commerce or land.
Yeah.
There are bad things that happen. I have one problem property right
Yeah.
now I got to take care of,
Uh-huh.
and I got to solve the issues, right? Or I do have some notes. I do
Yeah.
own some owner financed.
Yeah.
Not everyone pays their bills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
I'm just amazed at how many things you've gotten involved with, and you just seem to. I don't know what you're like on a day to day, but it just seems like you're just having. I don't know. I just feel that from talking to you from last time as well, and it sounds like you just enjoy the journey quite a bit. Now, if you guys didn't know, Buck is actually a volunteer firefighter. Is that correct?
Yeah, volunteer firefighter, and I credit it with keeping me the fittest I've been in a long time. So I
Yeah.
would recommend, if you want to perform in your online business,
Yeah.
that really work to get yourself physically fit and your diet in order. Because as you get older, I can tell you, I'm almost 60.
You do
eh,
not look like you're almost 60, by the
Thank you. And I'm the last man standing in the fire academy for my age. I'm
way.
the next
Wow.
person is at least 10 years younger than me. So
Wow.
I would say you have to be fit mentally, physically, eat right. Because that, and then get your sleep.
Yeah.
Because I think I could not recover if I didn't have that recovery time in the bed. That that allows you to deal with the stresses and strains and anxiety, which is going to happen in an online business,
Hmm.
right? Any business.
Yeah. What do you do for diet? Out of my personal curiosity, like, is there anything you
I'm,
do?
mar- I married a holistic nutritionist.
Oh gosh,
I
then
know.
that makes it easy for you. Just
Yeah,
eat
you
this,
think.
Buck.
Yeah, you saw me when we were in Korea, but it's I'll definitely have somebody brings donuts or cookies or whatever. I'll have some of that because
Yeah.
I know that I'm not going to eat. I don't eat that at home. It's not in the cupboards.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Right.
so I'll typically fast, intermittent fast, and do an 18, 16, 8. So 16 not eating, 8 hours eating at that in a
Within the
window
eight
of time
hours,
that I could eat.
how many times do you eat within that 8 hours?
Usually two good meals, two solid meals in that 8 hour window.
Wow.
So I would eat between like say noon and 8.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And I'll still have a butter, they call it a bulletproof coffee, like a butter
Okay.
coffee in the morning. So I'll
Okay.
do that once
Yeah.
and then eat at noon. That really serves me well and allows me to keep, you know, I'd be a obese monster if I didn't do that. Because I gain weight if I look at a donut. So that is one thing. And then I do a lot of hiking around because we have a lot of elevation change here
Sure.
in Colorado.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do a lot of, I'm trying to get in at least 7 or 8,000 steps. It'd be great if I could do 10,000 steps.
How do you split your time? I'm still blown away by you running a successful land business, getting into something brand new in this pet space as well. Like, how do you split your time? Are you like an Elon Musk? How do you do it?
No, come on. Um, my kids are older. So I have a 20-year-old and a 14-year-old still at home
Yeah.
and 14-year-old. And so, they're my son's in college doing
Sure.
studies, and then my daughter is in high school.
Yeah.
That simplifies things. We have requirement. We got to do stuff in the evening. I'm taking my daughter to a 4-H.
Yep.
She wants to be a competitive shooter, so we're going to go to a 4-H meeting this evening.
Cool.
So that's I got to make time for that.
Yeah.
I'm bad. I'm not scheduling time. Cancel this. I'm not scheduling time with my wife. I need to do date nights and stuff. I highly recommend, we get so busy
Yeah.
that you schedule those. To me, the scheduling. Okay, here's one thing that really is helping me a lot. I read the book by Dan Martell. Is it called Buy
Yeah.
Back Your Time?
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that book.
Yeah.
And so I implemented his first rule, which is hire an EA. I think
Yeah.
you have an EA because I was interacting with her.
Yes.
So I said, hire an EA. Okay, great. I've always had virtual assistants that helped me with the business, but not like someone in my calendar and doing my email and
Yeah.
other stuff like
Yeah.
responding to emails for me.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and did that, and I tell you, that's been
That's a game
really great.
changer, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's in my calendar. She's in my inbox. She
Yes.
responds. I can just say, "Hey, respond to so and so now."
Yeah.
And I have her doing some other things. So I wound up having her do part time as my EA, like halftime.
Hmm.
The other halftime, turns out she's become an amazing social media person for
Oh,
my
that's
my dog business.
oh wow.
She's doing really well as running social media and
Double A.
posting and keeping on top of things for us there. So that's
Uh,
worked out really well.
if you guys haven't checked that book out, Buy Back Your Time, I talk about it a lot.
You got
Dan,
your library there. I see your books over there.
I'm trying to pick it up, but Dan
Yeah.
is actually has a huge impact on Pebble. I mean, he was our coach for
Because he
us.
does a SaaS
Yeah,
training, doesn't he?
he
Or
he he comes from a SaaS
accountability.
background. He runs a SaaS Academy, and we
Mhm.
that's how we got started right away with them. And yeah, Dan's awesome. So I'm glad to hear that a lot of people in the real estate have heard of Dan Martell now. And although he's totally in the SaaS world, I think he's now trekking over into the entrepreneurial productivity side of things. So great
Yeah.
to hear that. Well, Buck, it looks like we didn't get much questions. I know there's still people hanging out here. We're at the
No,
end of
it's
our
great.
half
It's
hour.
great to be here. I thank you everyone for coming and joining, and even if you're watching on the replay,
Yeah.
I just really appreciate hanging out with Jesse. And Jesse, you've just taken such great care of me over the years. I think I've been with Pebble for almost 3 years. You know, my entirety of my land business,
Buck,
and
I have to say thank you to you and you guys for dealing with our bullshit sometimes. And it's been an incredible ride. And really, I know how busy you are, so I just want to say thank you for making the time to come out this. I wish we had a bigger turnout here. Maybe this isn't the best time, but I know that you guys will be catching the recorded version. But maybe Ken, I'm sorry, Ken. I'm looking at the chat here. Maybe Buck, closer to the holidays, maybe we can have you on again, just kind of hang out over the holidays and kind of chat. We'll see what happens. But I'd
that'd
love.
be great.
I feel like you're very insightful, and there's a lot. I feel you're like a wise man to me.
We need to get you and Kevin on the line. The three
Yeah,
talking heads. That
yeah,
would be awesome.
yeah.
I don't know if you
We'll be
ever done
doing
that.
that for our actually 100th episode of the podcast. But
Yeah,
anyways, Buck, it was great hanging out with you, and thank you so much for once again dropping knowledge and sharing like you always do. I'm sure we'll be seeing you around, but we'll see you again. Okay, Buck.
thanks, Jesse.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. See you
Take care,
later.
guys. Bye.
Bye.